How are you, Mike?
I'm good, Rich. Like Fox Mulder, I want to believe.
So this is like an X-file in a way. Again, I appreciate you joining because I know you just got back from the owners' meeting and been away from your family. So let's just hit this real quick. You were in the room. Did you see anything at the time that might have been bargaining between the Rams and the NFL in real time, Michael?
No, I mean, I was in the room and I was convinced they were not going to draft Michael Sam just based on, my conversations there. But I also, Jeff Fisher did leave the room at one point. He later told me to go talk to his owner, Stan Kroenke, about an inspiration that had overtaken him, which was, you know what, Michael Sam's still sitting there. It's the right thing to do. He's the SEC Player of the Year. Let's go get him. And when he came back, kind of had this little glow in his eye, and I kind of saw history unfold, and it was an exciting moment. So, I can't tell you exactly what happened when Jeff Fisher went to his office and talked to Stan Kroenke, but certainly this did not seem like something being rammed down his throat. If anything, he was very much aware of history. He made kind of a big production in the room when they took the card, and he said, "I said Michael Sam from Missouri. Let's put him right there." And there was a distinction between which of their two picks, which they had consecutively, he was using on Sam, and there was just this buzz through the room as everybody watched history unfold, watched the TV reaction and all that. So, I later breaking it down with Jeff, and I wrote about this extensively at the time on NFL.com, he talked about his relationship with Wade Davis, who was a former teammate and a guy that I believe played for him when he was coaching in Tennessee, who later came out of the closet and had spoken at the owners' meetings. And Jeff had kind of put a lot of thought into this. So it didn't seem like a conspiracy to me. I know there were a couple of jokes about Hard Knocks during the time I was there that were kind of unrelated, but
What do you mean?
Well, Kevin Demoff, the Rams president, making it clear he wasn't a huge fan of the idea of Hard Knocks, and I think I joked back at him and said, "What are you talking about? This is Hard Knocks is great; it makes stars out of people." But certainly there was no direct conversation linking Michael Sam and Hard Knocks.
So in that respect, Michael, I mean, that's why this thing has all come up, because the Rams are saying they're all excited to be on Hard Knocks right now. And I think
I don't think there was as much excitement at the highest levels a couple of years ago, but things have changed. They're coming to LA, and remember, Michael Sam, when he got drafted, Jeff Fisher had a plan as to how this was going to be. I think this is the wrong word, but normalized. In other words,
yes.
Jeff Fisher and later guys like Chris Long voiced the same thing. This was not. They weren't looking for the spectacle. They viewed Michael Sam as a football player. Whatever his sexual orientation was incidental, and they just wanted to try to have him be part of the team. When Michael Sam showed up with cameras from Oprah's network, who wanted to do a reality show, they were not super excited, and that quickly went away. So I can understand, once Michael Sam was drafted, from the Rams' perspective, not wanting it to be a circus. But I don't think that. To me, of all the NFL conspiracy theories and all the things that we could think about and agendas and what the league wants and all that, this to me, avoiding Hard Knocks would seem to be one of the silliest and most ancillary things. Somebody does it. Nobody's ever been harmed in the making of the film. I can't think of a whole lot of careers that have been ruined by it. I can think of careers that have been enhanced by it. I think the world got to know Mike Zimmer early on. The world got to know Hugh Jackson after he'd been fired from Oakland and kind of had some stains on his reputation. They saw that charm when he was back in Cincinnati. There have been all sorts of people that I think viewers have warmed to through Hard Knocks. I don't know that there's been a whole lot of damage to any NFL organization. And honestly, if the league wanted Michael Sam to be drafted by the Rams, that would be a smart thought, because Jeff Fisher's a really good coach when it comes to treating people like men and making situations like that not seem, bizarre or farcical. On the other hand, is it worth it to the league to try to broker a deal with the Rams to And if so, if it's worth that much, is that really what the offer is? We'll keep you off Hard Knocks instead of making you. That seems a little silly to me.
Yeah, I mean, in that regard, Mike, that if the league wanted Sam drafted, right, and because they were concerned about the public relations aspect of it, and if they were so PR minded, wouldn't they have said you're drafting him and you're going on Hard Knocks? That we're going to
or
that
you're
would
drafting him, or you're drafting him, and when you try to move to LA in 2 years, which we know you want, we're going to be ally. I mean,
well,
I
that's the part that makes more sense is that you're going to LA, and guess what you're going to do? You're going to be on Hard Knocks, and then we're going to send you to China, and anything else that we want you to do on behalf of the league. That makes more sense.
They can't say no, right? Based on the rules that exist now, if you haven't made the playoffs in 2 years and you don't have a new coach and you haven't done the show within X amount of years, the league can impose it on you. So, you can kick and scream all you want, but I would agree, Rich, the Rams are not in a particular position to kick and scream now that they are building a palace in Inglewood and we're the clear winners of that jewel. The other thing I would say is, having read the story in question, the most absurd notion to me, and I know Howard Balzer. I've known him a long time. I don't want to just dump on him, but the notion that somehow the league could have prevented Ethan Westbrook from being drafted after that. So that I think we're talking 7 teams after that, and going into the free agent pool, so the Rams could sign him. That to me is really a stretch. That they would call 7 teams and say, by the way, I don't know who you're picking right coming up in these next minute or two, but you're not taking Ethan Westbrooks. And, he's turned out to be a good player for the Rams. That would mean more to me if I were the Rams than not being on Hard Knocks. But that to me makes it sound crazy. So look, I was there the night before. I was there when it happened. I saw the twinkle in Jeff Fisher's eye. I saw the excitement afterwards. To me, it was something that came to him as the right thing to do and a historic thing to do. Everybody got on board. People got caught up with it. And until the moment he showed up with Oprah cameras, it was all positive. And then there was an immediate oh, no, it's going to be like this. And then that quickly went away, and he was one of the guys. And turned out he made a few plays in the preseason, but Westbrooks was better and other guys were better. So, God, there are so many league conspiracy things I'd love to get into and think about. This, to me, just seems tough to get lathered up about.
Last one for you, Mike. I would have let you go right now because I know you do have to go. But RG3 got signed by the Browns, and you are the Hugh Jackson whisperer. So does RG3 the starter? Is that what's going to happen? And does he fit into the Hugh Jackson offense? Read the tea leaves for me here on this signing.
Well, I'll tell you, he was excited about the idea of Colin Kaepernick, and that's why they had some talks with the 49ers. RG3, after those talks stalled, was a guy he wanted to just take a look at. What he saw in the workout blew his mind. He thought, this is a guy who now all of a sudden I really, really see as a guy who could be my quarterback now and be a very good one. So he's super excited about this. Obviously, there were some issues in Washington. He's well aware, but this is not just a, hey, let's get a guy. This is something that, if he's my starter this year, I could see that being awesome. Now, that said, they have the number 2 pick on the draft. I believe that there's a very strong chance they will still take either Jared Goff or Carson Wentz with that pick. What this does do, however, is it's a hedge. If somebody does trade up to 1 and they've got their heart set on one of those 2 and that team takes that person off the board, then it's a lot easier to say, okay, the world just didn't end and maybe we'll go take a pass rusher or a different player here. But I could very much see a scenario where RG3 and one of those 2 rookies is on the team. I would imagine that RG3 would be the intended starter, and I think worst case you get a Breeze Rivers situation, and that's not a real bad problem to have when you're a team that hasn't had good quarterback play for a long, long time.
Michael Silver, you are the man. Thanks for taking the time. Appreciate it.
My pleasure, Rich. Good talking to you, man.
You bet. That's Mike Silver.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.